So looking at some scores and highlights from last week, I'll just kind of run through a few of mine. Aiden Terranez from Sherrard is just a name that I think I keep talking about each week just because of a big performance, whether it's with the bat or on the mound. But he threw a complete game shutout last week with 13 strikeouts in their 12-0 win over Monmouth Roseville. And then looking over at Hinkley Big Rock, they had a 12-0 win over Indian Creek. Skylar Janeski is a 2026 for them. He threw 5 and 2/3 innings, struck out 13, allowed 2 hits, and walked 3. And then at the plate, he also went 3 for 3 with a homer, 3 RBIs, 2 runs scored, 2 walks, and a stolen base. And then in Pittsfield's 18-10 win over Route Catholic, Luke Sachs is a 2025, and he went 4 for 5 with 3 home runs, 6 RBIs, and 5 runs scored. So really, really big game for him there, and a lot of runs scored in that game. But that's what I got from last week. I'll throw it over to you guys.
Yeah, I can hop in here. Actually going to talk about 2 guys I'm pretty sure I talked about on this podcast last week, but just kind of goes to show that these 2 in particular continue to just put up big week after big week. But one nugget I had was that in McHenry's 2-1 win over Crystal Lake South last Monday, Brandon Shannon is now the McHenry career win leader. In that game, he struck out 8 over 6 innings of work, allowing 5 hits and 1 run. So I'll actually touch on Brandon again here in our next segment. But, man, he just continues to have a heck of a year. Obviously, a really impressive career. I know we've talked about on this podcast, but there's no shortage of, talent that's kind of gone through McHenry, right, with Bobby Miller being there. So he is, with Shannon now being the career win leader, I think it just says a lot about him and the career he's had there. Next up in tryouts, 1-0 win over Mascoutah on Monday, Hayden Bernruder, another guy who just continues to do it, and he did it on both sides of the ball again. 6 2/3 scoreless, 11 strikeouts, allowed just 1 hit, and then he also drove in the only run in the game. So another guy just continues to have a heck of a year. And then one other nugget I had was Lincoln Way Central walked off Homewood Flossmoor 5-4 last Wednesday, but in that game, Filippo Barada, who's a guy I've internally just kind of been really high on. I've really liked the way he plays the game every time I've seen him. He went 4 for 4 in the game. He's a 2025 going to SWIC after this year, but Austin Welsh, who's a 2026 for Lincoln Way Central, had the 2 RBI walk-off single there. So just a quick nugget there on the Knights.
Well, I want to get in here too because there was a lot of interesting stuff going on last week. We had talked about St. Lawrence in the Power 25 and how good of a week they had, but I kind of just wanted to reiterate it. And they're now 24-3, one of the hottest teams in the state, and they're staying hot while playing in the middle of the CCL Blue Conference, which is typically not kind of when a team gets hot. So just kind of shows the kind of ball the Vikings are playing. But Jimmy Benson, a 27 left-handed pitcher, had a no-hitter through 6 2/3 over Mount Carmel on Saturday and a 9-0 win. I think Corey Less finished it off and got the last out of that win. But anytime to throw a no-hitter, that's impressive, especially for a sophomore lefty. Jimmy Benson, he's every bit of 6'7", long levers, loose whippy arm from a low slot, just tons of uniqueness to Jimmy. And if he continues to see that velo climb and can throw strikes, I don't know if the 6 2/3, if he hit a pitch limit there, that forced him to come out of that game, but he's a guy that we'll be eyeing. We'll probably need to go see him here soon if he's going to continue to deliver performances like that. But that was definitely something that stood out to me. Another thing that stood out to me, we did not talk about this. I was actually unaware of this, and it just kind of circulated via social media, and I caught wind of it this week. But on April 23rd, Eric Reges, the coach at Herscher, longtime coach there, he picked up his 800th win. Couple nuggets with that is he's only the 12th baseball coach in IHSA history to reach 800 career wins, and he's only the 8th one to do it while being at the same school. Staying at one school to pick up 800 wins. Only 8 coaches have done that in IHSA history. So really, really cool benchmark there, or just number to hit for coach. And And shout out to him. Congrats. He's had a ton of good players. One in particular that's come through that I, am just thinking of off the top of my head is Tyler Stewart. For anybody out there wondering what good players have come out of Hersher, Tyler Stewart's still pitching in pro ball. I want to say he's up in the AAA level, but he went to Southern Miss, had a good career there, and now he's doing it in pro ball. And he is kind of like Jimmy Benson. I just talked about his frame. You want to see a legit frame that looks like a Cole Kmet type of human being, check out Tyler Stewart because he is a monster. And then we got Zach Bava talking about some noteworthy records being broken. Brandon Shannon breaking the wins record up there at McHenry. Zach Bava, we've talked about him a few times. He finally got it done on Tuesday, May 6th in a 1-0 extra inning win over Wabanzi. I think it was actually senior night there for Naperville North as well. Zach Bava delivered the hit to break the Naperville North all-time hits lead. He passed the Husky great Mariano Long. So shout out there to Zach Bava, committed to Illinois State, senior left-hand hitting catcher. Definitely thought that was a cool nugget that needed to be shouted out. And then Defaball, you mentioned it. Mundelein I think it was you that mentioned it, hands Fremd their first loss of the season. Last Saturday, a 4-0 win. Barris Brua, he's a senior lefty committed to Wisconsin Oshkosh, got the job done through 5 scoreless, scattered 3 hits, walked 3, and struck out 4 in that huge win for Mundelein, who's now sitting at the back end of our Power 25 and up a couple spots. And then Prairie Ridge, just for everybody out there, people need to know it's Coach Pecoraro's last season. Guy's an absolute legend, stud. I think there's a lot of coaches throughout Illinois high school baseball who do it right. Like where we are very lucky that they are a coach in Illinois. Tim Funkhausers of the world, the Mark Smiths of the world. Like Glenn Pecoraro is right up there with them. I think anybody that's watched a Prairie Ridge team just comes away understanding the kind of coach that he is. They're always fundamentally sound, hard-nosed, going to play tough. But this is his last year, and he's surpassed 500 wins in 2023. I don't know his exact number right now, but he's won 14 region championships with Prairie Ridge. They finished 4th in Class 4A in 2014. They were the 3A state runner-up in 2021. And they've also won 5 Summer League state appearances as well, or made 5 Summer State appearances. And back in January of 2020, he was inducted into the IHS BCA Hall of Fame. So cool stuff there for Coach as he kind of makes his last go around here. And he's doing it with the right team. Like they are a senior-laden team with all kinds of talent. And they've been having a really, really good 2025 regular season. So just some nuggets that I saw last week floating around or this past weekend that I wanted to point out.
I can cap it off here. I got a couple. One that stood out to me was Keegan Luxem for Hersey. I mean, he's one of the horses they got in that rotation over there. He struck out 11 out of the 12 outs in a 4-inning complete game. So that's always impressive being a pitcher. I know those lines tend to stand out. And then Josh Holst, another pitcher, he struck out 11 in 4 innings as well. And then he also hit 2 home runs at the plate. So doing it a little bit on both sides of the ball. And Holst, I mean, he's an arm first and foremost, but he does really look the part with the bat. Super physical left-handed hitter. I think if he wasn't going Air Force to pitch, that kid could probably play college as just a position player, first base, left-handed hitter. So yeah, 2 really good weekends there for 2 good outings there, I should say, for both those guys. And